Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today we're creating with the lovely Sentimental Swirls. And the reason for that is because this stamp set was designed as part of the reward for achieving $1 million in sales by my team leader Sam Hammond-Donald, otherwise known as Pootlers. And as I say, as part of that, they go to the head office and help create a stamp set that reflects their style. So for Sam, it was very much about this lovely sort of builder type design and with punches. Sam loves a punch, and actually this one coordinates with two. So you can see in here we've got two flowers. We've got this lovely 4-petaled flower here and the little 5-petaled flower, and the 4-petaled one along with the little leaf coordinates with the flowers and leaves punch, which hopefully you can see there, that one, and the little flower coordinates with the strawberry builder punch that you can see there. So really useful. Now today the project is just going to use the one punch, so I'm going to keep that to hand, and I'm going to be using the big swirl and this lovely flower here along with the sentiment. Okay, so what are we going to make? Well, you know me, I love a 3D project, and I thought what better way to celebrate Sam than to create one. And this one's actually in Cherry Cobbler, which is one of her favourite colours. It's uses magnets for closure, and I've actually used 3 pairs. I found that one would hold it closed, but if you wanted it to last a bit longer closed, then you needed 3 pairs. I could possibly put a second one on there, and that might have done the trick. So we'll perhaps try that in the video. And you'll see it opens up to create a really nice, spacious gift box that you could put all sorts of things in. So it's 2 inches wide on the sides, and it's about 14.5 centimetres in length, so a good size, and makes a lovely gift box. I've added a few extra flowers in there, and I've used the lovely Eden's Garden Gems, Eden Gems, they're called Garden Gems, because actually when you sort of put them, they've got an iridescence that picks up red in there, so I thought that was really pretty, and I don't always use those often enough. And then I've also used the lovely Label Me Fancy punch, which is this one here, Label Me Fancy, as you can see, and that's just for the sentiment that I've got on the front. So that's the project. As I say, a good sized gift box, nice and sturdy. As you can see, I haven't put the flowers on the back. You could just leave it. I think it's lovely without those. I decided I'd decorate the front with lots of flowers. I probably went a little bit over the top. I might have done perhaps just with 2 and an extra one, but I found that where I'd placed my first one, it kind of looked a bit odd. So I thought, let's just add flowers everywhere we go. So let's see how we get on this next project. So that one was a solid sort of colour, so I thought I'd go for something that's equally as bright, but actually we're going to go with a colour that's disappearing soon, and that's Magenta Madness. So it's a photopolymer stamp set, so I would always recommend that you create and stamp using the using your stamping pierce mat. So I've got my 2 flower stamps here, I've got my 2 leaves here, and I'll probably use actually I might use just Jade, as that's in the same in colour. Okay, so these ones are retiring, so if you like these colours, get them now while you can. You're going to want some scraps of basic white for these flowers, and I've sort of a piece that's about 1 inch wide should be okay for these. Let's give it a go. Maybe 3 centimetres might be slightly better width. Yeah, I think I actually went for sort of 1 1/4 inches, so 3 centimetres. And this is a really lovely one in terms of 2-step stamping. So you'll want a scrap of paper to stamp off to get the lighter shade for that centre. Obviously you could use a second colour. Tap, tap, tap for your colour, and leave them well spaced out. I've done a really rubbish job on that one. There we go. Right. and that's so that you can get the punch, because when you punch on this, it's this flower here, you'll see that the leaf also starts to cut, so you just need to leave enough space for that. So for the inset, tap it, stamp off, hover over and line up, and it is symmetrical, so you can just add that wherever you want. Pop those in and line up underneath, punch, and what I always say is, remember, if you've got dexterity issues, you can always put your punch flat on a surface, feed it in, just sort of press down with your hand like so, and then press, and you'll find that will punch equally as well. It's actually better for your punch because you're getting a nice flat surface. So that was using the sort of 3.5 centimetre piece, so I'll probably punch another couple of those. Always got scraps of basic white when you're cutting things down. So and then while I'm here, I'm going to do my leaves again, just lining those up and stamping off to get the lighter colour to fill those in. Again, you could stamp those on coloured cardstock if you wanted to, and that gives you another shade as well. Now when you're stamping using deep pinks, it will discolour your photopolymer stamps. It doesn't affect how they stamp at all. What I would say though is I always clean them off pretty much straight away when I'm stamping with these strong colours, and I've just, oh, might have just got away with that one. Okay. But just grab your Stampin' Scrub or your Simply Chamois and just wipe those off while we're using, as soon as you've used them. So again, just come in, punch, oh, I'm not quite going to get away with that one. What I might do, how will I get away with that? Okay. You can see I've just caught the edge of my leaf here, so what I'm going to do is I shall punch the one and then grab another scrap just to do a second leaf. So what I should have said is we're taking part in a blog hop for this. Oh, duh. So you will find on the blog post for this project a list of all of the other participants, and they're all people in Sam's team, and we're just creating with this particular stamp set. So if you think you like it, you're going to get loads of inspiration to use this stamp set. Lots of fun ideas that you can create your projects with. Okay, so now I've got my flowers. I'm going to do my sentiment as well. Grab the punch. This one pops in. You can do it horizontally or lengthways, but when it goes in, I found I could kind of line up the Y and the H to kind of get that, and to leave space for a flower on the corner as well. And then I'm also going to punch a separate one out of just a scrap of my Magenta Madness as well. Okay, so that's ready to create our label. Pop that to one side. And this bag itself is actually made in separate parts, so you can get the front and the back out of a single sheet of a white, basic white, and then you've got 3 pieces to do the ends and the base, and then a couple of separate pieces to do the top and the bottom. So I've actually created all of those. So we're going to do some stamping first. So for this you're going to need 2 pieces of basic white, and I have written down the measurements, she says. So the sides are 14.5 by 13 centimetres, and it goes across this direction, like so. And that's 5.5 by 5 inches, so slightly wider than it is high. Now when you're using this big stamp, really easy to use, pop it on a big block, or you could obviously pop it onto Stamparatus if you wanted to. I prefer it on a block for this because you can actually you can add your swirls wherever you want, and you can twist and turn to get that random effect. I pop a piece of scrap paper on here, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my central swirls so that they're sort of coming in different directions. So do your main images, then you're going to come in around the edges, inking up as you go along. So just filling in the gaps. You could also use the extra swirls that you've got in the stamp set to add to if you want to, but if you're doing quite a large area, I'm really just using this main swirl just for speed as well. So there you go, there's the first side, and now the next side. And obviously you can make these as symmetrical as you like. You can try and make these identical. I just like the sort of random nature of this. And then as I say, where you spot a couple of little bits, just going to come in. And again, you could also go more detailed and add in extra flowers as the background, whichever way you want to do it. But as you can see, it's so easy to quickly cover all the bases with this as well. And again, I'm just going to come in and give my stamp a quick wipe, not least of all because otherwise I shall end up getting covered in ink myself. So we've done our 2 sides, or our front and our back. We've done our stamping for our sentiment. We've done our flowers. So now to get onto the 3D elements of these. So pop those to one side, and the things that we need to do. So for that very top, you're going to need a piece here. As you can see, this is 14.5 by 3 centimetres, 5.5 by 1.25. I've scored it down the middle on the short edge at 1.5 centimetres. So what I actually did was I scored at 1.5 and then cut at 3. So 5.5 by 1.25, and that's at 5/8. I want a piece of a piece of card that is 3.5 by 5 centimetres, and I'm just going to use a corner rounder on there. And in fact that hasn't gone very well, so let's try the other edge. There we go, that's better. And I'm going to do the same, just a corner round. And obviously we've got the trio punch, which has got a corner rounder in it. This is an old one that's very similar to our Project Life one that we had as well. So I've corner rounded that and corner rounded this one here. You then want to a piece for the side. and I am going to do some scoring on these. So this piece for the side is 14.5 by 30 by 14.5 by 7 centimetres, which is 5.5 by 3 inches, and you're just going to score on that short edge at 1 centimetre on both sides, like so. And then the piece for the actual, so that's the base, the piece for the sides, again you want 2 of these, 14 by 7, and you're going to score on the long at 8 and at 13. So that's 5.5 by 3 inches, score on the long edge at 3 and 5 inches. Then on the short side, score both sides at 1 centimetre or half an inch. Okay. The last bit of scoring, you're going to want an embossing tool and a ruler, because what you're going to do is mark the centre of this. So that's obviously 3.5. And you're going to, where those lines intersect, you're just going to score. Okay, so just from the centre there, hopefully you can see that. You'll see it more easily in a moment. So it's on this the longer section up to the top where we haven't got a short score. Again, you could mark this in pencil if you wanted to. Like so. Okay, so we have a base, 2 sides. Grab your snips, and we're going to do some trimming. So you're going to very quickly just notch the very top of these top 2 and of those outer ones. Just a small amount, just to reduce the bulk in the corners. Like so. And this very top, so this is where it point at the middle, and then at the bottom we're going to again notch out very slightly but remove that corner. So again, only the merest hint. So those are the pieces that you're going to need. So once you've created those and done the scoring, you just need to come in and reinforce the score lines on these pieces. So we're doing all the sides. The only one you don't need to reinforce is this horizontal one, because that will naturally, you only want that to give us, it gives a slight bend as opposed to a sharp crease. So I'm folding with the score lines here on those diagonals, and then they're going to fold back on themselves like so. So you end up with a piece that's actually going to go like this. You can see it just creases very slightly there. Okay, so I've done that already on those, both of those, on the second one of those. I'm just going to do the same on the base. Then you're going to come in and mark and glue this tab onto the middle. So this is 14.5 centimetres and this is 3.5. So you're going to want to come in at 6 centimetres, 5.5 even. So here we go. Let's just check. So yes, 14.5 comes out to 11, says 5.5. Yep, so it is just 5.5 centimetres. So all I'm going to do is just put a little mark on the inside there to show me where to line it up. I'm going to grab some strong glue. So I'm going to grab my seal here, and I'm just going to add that across there. I'm even going to add some onto the inside of that tab as well. That tab then come there, and then give that another good reinforce. Don't add your magnets on yet because that's going to come once you've created your box. So we want to add 2 pieces. So the next bit is actually a bit of construction. We're going to add our sides onto a piece and create a long strip before we actually add it all together. Up to you what sort of glue you decide to use. You want something that is going to be nice and strong. For speed, and strength, I tend to use my red tape because it's got tape on the back. I don't necessarily need to always take it off all in one go. So I'm going to add some to each side, and it's also a little bit narrower than my stamping seal because I know what I'm like. Decide whether there's an up or a down and which that is. Then do the same on your second side. Didn't get quite as close to the edge as I should have done perhaps on that. And then on the top, on the edge where opposite your bar, so this piece here, you're going to add some tape as well, because that's going to be glued to the very top of our bag, gift bag, clutch bag. So what we can do now is start adding our pieces on. So I'm going to start lining these up. And I find the easiest way is actually to fold that and pop that. Just butt that up to the very bottom. And by just doing a little bit of tape, I can then pull the remainder off. So this is the tricky bit. Just make sure that you've got this lined up so that your top, so your scored piece is on the side there. Butt that up and add in. Do the same on the other side of our other piece. So line that at the top and the bottom. And then we're going to add our other piece across here. Oh, I've taken all the tape off, not great. And then we can add our piece across the top. In fact, before we do, let's just add our top. Make sure we're happy that that's going to be the front. Yep, that'll be fine as the front. I should have done is kept some of the tape on there. Yeah, that's fine. And on this one, you're going to actually pop it just below that score line because it gives a little bit of extra width for that closure. So we're almost there. Now we can fold it over and with our nice bag. So all that's left is to add some tape to these two side pieces and remove the tape on the inside there as well. Just gone over the edge slightly, just fold that in with your finger and you'll be absolutely fine. And on the inside, just peel that away. Grab your pokey tool if you need to, just to release that. And whatever you do, don't squeeze it shut just at this point. So fold your tabs in, make sure those are nice and level. Tuck that in. So I'm being a little bit gentle because what I don't want to do is just ruin it at this last minute. When it's nice and square, pop it down, get your bone folder and just squish that down on the inside. And we're almost there with our last little bit. Okay, so now to add our magnets. As I said, it didn't quite hold very well with one magnet in the centre, so I'm going to put two on those tabs. But what I'm actually going to do, which I meant to do beforehand, I'm using the little neodymium magnets, which are very strong, very small, but if you've got anybody who's got heart problems, then obviously don't use those. You could use Velcro instead. And you just look at where you're coming down to. So you're coming down a good couple of inches on the inside. This is why I said I meant to do this before I fold my box up, but there we go. So using a glue dot, attach your neodymium magnets to that. And I've just folded that in, and again you're going to want to come in at about 5.5, about 6 centimetres from the inside. Just pop that in there, and another one just next to it, so you can just see where I've placed those. Pop 2 more on the outside and they will just clip to where they are, and just make sure that those are covered up by your flap. So I could actually go down a little lower on that if you wanted, but I find that that just about is the right kind of depth down. So it's about 1 inch down, and then all I need to do is pop, when you slide that off, keep the front face and attach a glue dot. Do the same, sorry I'm sliding that off, attach a glue dot and then putting it back in place. Then close that up to where you're happy with it, and those will then lift off and you can give those a really good squeeze. So there's our box actually constructed. All that remains to do is to add our decorations. So this is the really easy bit. Take your second tab and cut in half down the length. Add some adhesive to the reverse. Only needs to be Seal rather than the Seal Plus. Just add it to each of those edges and a little bit on each side, and then just line it up with the top and bottom of our tab, just to give a very narrow border. Shaping our flowers, I find the easiest way to get a nice flower on these is to shape our flower like this from the inside. Use a ball tool, I'm using the edge of my take your pick, and then press down in the middle. That will then go onto corner there. And while that is drying, we can do our second flower. So again, just press down and curve each of those, and then press down once in the centre. There's one of my leaves. I've scooted away the other one, so we're just going to have one leaf on this. Pop that in the centre. Add a little glue to the edge of your leaf, and your second leaf, of course, when you find it. And then all I need to do is pop a couple of dimensionals onto the back of this. And then you can repeat with your flowers if you decide to add more onto the front or not. So there's my happy birthday box using Sentimental Swirls for the Pootlers Sentimental Swirls blog hop. And say do follow the link just down below. You'll see a link to my blog post. If you click on that, it'll take you to all of the other pages, participants in the blog hop, and you can get some more inspiration on how to use this lovely stamp set. Do you know what? I think I prefer it with fewer flowers, but what do you think? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon, and please do click on the subscribe button. It really helps with my YouTube, and it also helps you because it means you get told when if you click that bell, you get told and get a notification when I create a new project. Thanks for watching. Bye now.